Hey there, girlfriend. Ingafay here. Super excited to be with you today. I'm a confidence coach for home based business owners. And today I wanted to share another coaching girlfriend with you, Claudette. She specializes in educating women on learning how to use the tool of money. When women understand how to be more tax advantaged, they save more money that feeds and cares for their family. When women look to have safe investments, it allows them to build wealth and not lose their gains. So when women really understand how to navigate their financial aid, they can support their children as well as pursue their goals in their education. She is a formal licensed attorney in the state of New York, a real estate professional, as well as a retail manager. And Claudette has a deep commitment to serve people. And without further ado, here's my girlfriend, Claudette. Hey, Claudette.
Hey, girl. How's everything going?
Oh, things are going good, girl. Super excited to be with you today. I'm looking forward to our topic today of business owners from startup to end. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit more about you, girl, who you are, who you serve, and how you serve them.
Inga, I love what you were sharing, but yeah, ladies, I'm here to work with you guys. If you've noticed what's been going on since 2020, more and more women are moving into the entrepreneur business space. And that's exciting because it's such a change from just a mere 60, 70 years ago where women weren't allowed to work outside of the home. Right. So I'm excited to be that person who's able to help women really focus that mindset. Because I say this all the time, 90% of your success is not your skills, it's your mindset.
Right.
And for women, we've always had to fight that belief that, well, I'm only good enough to work in the home, or I really don't have any skills. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You are the original OP entrepreneur.
I know that's
right. You are the original. Talk about, mediator. There's no better mediator than you. You are the original go and getter. You had any problem that came up in your house, who was the solver? You. The kids didn't get along, who solved it? You. Had to figure out how to make ends meet, who solved it? You.
That's right.
But you didn't you didn't see. We were told that was nothing. That was not as important. And I'm here to tell you that, yes, it is. And I'm here, along with Inga, who teaches you confidence, and I'm teaching you how to turn all that experience into how to really understand how to make your money work for you, so you become the one for your family. And you're saying, what are you talking about, Claudette? There's this really interesting site on YouTube called Useful Charts. Mm-hmm. Remember that one? And they do a hierarchy, like who's who and et cetera in a family. And they did the Rothschilds. Like almost everybody knows who the Rothschilds are. They're like the richest family in the world. But you know what? The original Rothschild, he was a money lender, a banker. He was what you would call the person who handled the money for the wealthy. One guy. But he was so good at what he did. He created an empire that still today is the richest family in the world.
Wow.
But it started with one guy. The same thing with the DuPont family. The original DuPont was a chemist in a factory. It started with one. So we keep thinking, I don't know. It starts with one. And I'm here to show you how it can start with just you. As Inga said, I'm a former attorney in the state of New York. I'm a former realtor, and all of those things come together those are areas where I was able to serve, whether it was serving you for your financial needs or your legal needs, or whether it's your housing needs or your food needs, because I was with Whole Foods. I'm here to help. And as I said, I've gone away from using my brawn to my brain on an area that has such incredible impact in the family, especially on women. That's who I am.
Awesome. How profound. But I didn't expect anything different from you. So it's all good. So tell us this. What is the number one thing you would ask a business owner, since we're all business owners here?
You know what's so interesting to me is that when you meet a business owner, they're so passionate about what is it they want to do. And I'm like, that is so great. So tell me, what's your succession plan? And they're like, huh? You're like, so what are you going to do when you're no longer in the business? And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, see, this is the thing. When you open your business, gung-ho, it's great. But there is going to come a day and a time where you're no longer going to do that business.
Right.
And I want to be clear on a particular point. Your business is not just, I have this business. It's what gives you your lifestyle. It gives you your home. It gives you your ability to buy stuff. It gives you your life. Just like a job did.
Right.
Hear me, ladies, hear me. So, but just like in a job, I start a job, I like it, and, I do all this stuff. But there's going to come a day when I'm going to retire, where I don't have to punch that clock and I don't have to come in.
Right.
Here comes a part with your business. There's going to come a day when, and trust me, it's going to come, because there's number one, we're not leaving this world alive. So that's number one.
Right.
And number two, there's going to come a point when you just don't want to do it anymore. So if that's the case, how prepared is your business to continue to support you in the lifestyle you've built when you're no longer actively working that business? And the thing is when do you think about that? Do you think about it the month, 2 months, 3 months, 90, 6 months before you said you've made the decision? Yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. Do you do it 6 months? Or do you do from the day you start?
Now, I can tell you, probably most people will say they probably do it just before they're about to do it. They don't see the end in mind. Like most people, when they work, they don't think about retiring because they know they just got the grind of working. So tell us, why should we think about it in the beginning?
Because you think about it, the day you start your business is the day you start thinking about selling your business. Listen to me, because what you got to build is curb appeal. You want to make that business attractive to the person you want to sell. So that's when, think about a house. You've just gotten your house. And what is the one thing? You've got the bones, you've got the house, you've got the windows, the house in itself is there. But now you have to start, decorating it. And you start with this room, you start building that curb appeal. You kind of know that's going to change. But see, what is the first thing people see? Now think about the inside of the house as you building your business. You've built the business. That's the outside, the frame, that's the construction, the windows. But the inside, the decorations, the tchotchkes, all that's the attractiveness to a buyer on the inside is what you've built. Now, this is the thing. They don't necessarily see the inside. They see the outside first, the curb appeal. And when you start planting those flowers and whatever and the rocks, it takes time for that to establish. It's not, you can try planting full grown, but they're still not going to necessarily work the way you want. Think about when you walk by a house and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so nice. You're looking at the flowers and everything. They're full bloom and it's so manicured and everything. And you're like, oh, wow, that's so nice. I think I like that. What you're really saying, I want that. And then you don't even think about what's in the inside. You're looking at the outside. So what you want to build in your business is that curb appeal from day one, fixing up that outside that's going to keep building, that's going to make them want to come on the inside. Because they already see the outside, they see the outside, now they want to see the inside. But now this is the thing. So when you think about your business, it's to start early. But this is the other thing. When it comes to selling a business, if your business is completely dependent upon you in order for it to be successful, you will not get the premium you want because nobody wants you when you sell your business. They want your client base. They want your infrastructure. They want your systems. They want your process. They want all the things that are divorced from you. The curb appeal, the foundation, the building, the furniture. They don't want you. Go back to a house. They love the kitchen. They love the bathroom. They love everything. They're not buying the house and expecting you to still be there when they get there.
Right. I'm curious, how would that work when it comes to a direct sales or a network marketing business? Because granted, for the most part, you are the driving engine for that. And you're not necessarily selling your business. Granted, you could probably give your customers to someone else, but how would that relate in that sense to that?
You know, I'm not as familiar with the direct sales market. But this is the thing. If you have the ability to transfer your business to another person, what they are buying is your customer base.
Right.
They're buying the thing that you are directly selling. You are the driving force. You can show them how, and that's the thing in every business. You are the driving force, but the person is saying, I can be that driving force. I just need to know your systems and your processes and your client base. And I need to know that the thing that you're selling is something that I can get behind.
Right.
You have that ability. Think more of somebody who is, prime example, a doctor. Okay. You're, and I can use this from an example, an OBGYN. Why do people come to you as an OBGYN or any doctor? Because they like you.
Right.
Right. They trust you. Right. So you want to sell your business. They like your location. They like your thing is, but they also want your patients.
Right.
So how do you set it up so that you can sell your patients to this person? And these are patients you've developed over years, right? And that you have to think about, what do I need to do to make it more attractive? How to make this person that I decide I want to sell my business to what he wants, which are my patients. And there's different strategies that you come to play, but that's part of that succession plan. Depending on if you're an attorney, they trust you. How do you transition your clients to them? Because that's who they want. So you have to be mindful within whatever space you are in. I'm building my business. I'm making it attractive to somebody to come in and take it over from me when I depart. And therefore for them to take it over, they're going to pay me this premium. And that premium is what's going to give me my retirement days, or give me whatever I'm going to use it for, right? So what is your plan to get that in place? There's no straight check this box, check this box, check this box. With the exception of, you got to have a thought in mind as, I want to build my business to the point where somebody wants to buy it from me or take it from me when I get to this level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. And I guess it's kind of similar in the same sense that you still have a customer base that you could be giving to someone. And that customer base could be worth so many dollars because you know how much your customers buy on a regular basis. So it kind of can be the similar thing. It probably wouldn't be a transition of money. It would be more giving the people to someone else that still provides that same product or service.
But if you're able to sell that business, so he says, if that book of business is under you, how do you transition that book of business? Because you built that book of business. Right. So in a direct sale, when it's based on a thing, right? If you have the ability to transfer that book of business, how do you do that? What is the value that they're going to give you from the fact that you've built that? So depending on whatever field that you're in, it's, what is it that I need to do to make what I have attractive so I get a value for it? Not whereas, okay, I'm done now. Let me pack it up. Okay, nice knowing you. And I walk away. My clients are now open to whoever wants to pick them up and whoever wants to pick them up, but I'm not getting any value for everything I've built. So you want to, in any of your business, you always want to say, when I'm ready to depart this, how do I still get the value that I built into it? Because you did. You did, ladies. You worked hard for this. How do you get the value? And are you compensated? Are you paid that value for what you did, what you built? In my business, I have a book of business. I can sell it. I can pass it on as an inheritance.
Right.
That was important to me because my book of business, but what I'm giving is a system. I'm giving a process. And yes, there's also a portion of here's my client base that I've built over time, right? Here's how we can, build that relationship that I built with them. I would have a plan in place when I'm at that point of, I'm saying, now I'm ready to start thinking about selling my business. But I have a book of business. I can either sell it back within my platform, or as I said, pass it on to my heirs.
Right.
So that's something that you must keep in mind, because you don't want to ever at any time undervalue yourself. I think the biggest, as I said earlier, the biggest challenge every woman has is that we're constantly undervaluing what we bring to the table.
Yeah. I would agree.
And because number one, we don't even realize what we bring to the table has a value.
One thing I did want to go back to that you brought up that I thought was golden was the fact that you were talking about systems. And I think that was very important to highlight, because in any business, for a business to be successful, systems are definitely key. And if you can learn to master someone else's system that has been successful in the same type of business or product or service that you could be selling, I think that's golden. Because a lot of the success of a business is centered around the framework that particular person does to generate income. And that's really what trips people up when it comes to building a business, because they don't know how to bring the cash in. They don't know how to make the cash register ring. So the struggle is that, how do I do that? Especially if you come in from a mindset of being an employee where you didn't have to worry about the cash register ringing. You just got paid on the 15th and the 30th. Right. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's just a great point you raised, because every business rises or falls on their system and their processes.
Right.
They're two separate things. Let me make clear. So let me use this one because we all know this one. There's a system. Wash, rinse, dry, put it away. That's a system. But depending upon where you are in the world, the process for each one will change and be different. Depending on other things, this process is going to be different. But the process is what tells you how to move from one part of the system to the next. Let me use this. So think about this. I want you to all think back to that day when your mama taught you how to wash clothes. All this. Right. I'm going to take it from the Northeast because I don't have water issues. I can't, desert's different. I don't have water issues. Right. We learned how to wash clothes, and I'm part of an industrialized side. It's not like my mom when she came from Tobago, where you may not have had a washer and dryer. You washed like on a washboard. Right. It's different. But that was a system. You got your clothes, you pulled them all together. You didn't just pick them up and stick them in the washing machine, because the results would not be what you wanted. You learned to sort. You learned to sort not only on color, but on fabric.
Exactly.
You also learned to say, and then the fabric was, here's an example. I would wash linen with cotton, but I wouldn't put denim in with the linen and the cotton. People like, why not? Because the denim is heavier and might damage the material, which is the linen and the cotton.
Right.
So you learn to sort. You then learn that every color was washed differently. We typically washed whites in hot water. We typically wash colors in cool water. You wash certain things in cold water, not because of their color, but because of the impact on the fabric. You also use different soaps. Remember the days when we had to have delicate soap and then regular soap? I know y'all are too young. But this was the system. Then it moved to the rinse cycle to remove the water. Then it moved to the dry cycle. Now there's where, again, the processes kick into place. I dry different things differently because I'm tall and okay, I'm fat, and I don't want my clothes to shrink. And so I don't dry certain things because I don't want them to shrink. The easiest then that once everything was dry, free of water, then it moved to the last phase, which was put it away. And even there was a system for that. So in your business, you have to be clear on what's your system. In my business, we how do we meet people? How do we approach people? This is basic to every, kind of service industry. How do we invite them to talk with us, etc. There's still a process. There's a sorting within each one of them that moves people to the next step. What is that for you? Because when it becomes automatic, when it becomes automated, that then is something, regardless of who's doing it, steps in, can do the same exact thing.
Right.
Remember, the way your parents taught you how to wash clothes, the way you taught your kids how to wash clothes with the tweaks based on modernization, you wash clothes. The way you iron clothes, if you iron clothes, and why you don't, how you clean, even how you cook, everything in your life has a system and a process to move you for the next step. What trips most people up is you have in your head how things move, but you don't understand why, if you have if your employees or people working with you, why aren't they having the same result? Then you have to ask yourself, have you taught them the processes in between that moves them from one step of the system to the next? Or did you do like your mama did or my mama did? You standing next to her, watching her, and she said, I showed you now how to do the laundry, now do it yourself. And you're like, where are you going? I'm going upstairs. And of course you made mistakes because you needed it written out so that you knew what came next. Fast forward, I bring down a bundle of clothes. I'm sorting them in the washing machine as I'm going. I don't separate them into bundles anymore. Why? Because I've been doing laundry so much I don't have to think about it. I'm like, no, this goes here, this goes here. This like, and watching me, I look like this Mad Hatter. But I know what I'm doing because I've been doing it so long. You want to get your employees to that point too.
Yeah, I think that's very key. And it may not necessarily be an employee in our world. It could be a recruit. Right. That someone's just starting out and you have a system that you've mastered and you're working to teach that person how to do that system and how important it is to be duplicatable and making it easy instead of hard. Because I think that's very key too, because when you make it too hard for people, they're just like, it's not even worth doing all of this. And that's probably why you sorted as you went more so than making a pile, because you figured that out, that was easier for you.
But this is the thing too. Remember what I said, everywhere in the entire world, everybody washes, rinse, dries, puts away. But depending on where you are in the world, the wash process is not just a sorting. What's the availability of water? How do you actually remove the dirt from the clothes?
Right.
Is not the same. There's a region in Russia where the high temperature at any time of the year is 28 degrees. That's winter. They're like, oh no, it's very warm today. And I'm like, because their norm is -40.
Oh, it's all relative.
They take something wet, throw it up in the air, and before it hits the ground, it's frozen solid. The way they wash their clothes, they don't even have refrigeration. They just hang it out the window. The way they wash is going to be different. The process is going to be different than say you live in sub-Saharan Africa or you live in the desert in the United States. It's relative.
Right.
But when you're working with anybody, you have to be able to explain that. What's the process for your particular situation? The system doesn't change. It's still wash, rinse, dry, repeat. But the processes will depend upon your environment, your market, the person you're talking to.
Oh, so spot on. Yeah, you got to be flexible. You can't do a cookie cutter approach. You have to be flexible enough to know the basics like you're talking about and be able to tweak accordingly to the situation that you're in. Yeah, for sure.
Because I look at people who argue with me. I said, You have two kids, right? You have a boy and a girl, right? I said, yeah. So you talk to the boy like you talk to the girl? I said, of course not. Exactly. You got a kid that's, a teenager and a kid that's still like a toddler. You talk to them the same, you give them the same duties, you expect them to understand the same thing. He says, no, exactly. What's your point? It's the same household. You're the same parents, but you do different things for different kids. Why? Because they're different people.
Exactly.
How many times have you seen 4 people come out of the same house, were raised the exact same way, were taught the same things? One can cook, one can clean, one can't do nothing. You're like, right. How's that possible? Because the intangible in any form of business is always the people.
Right.
But when you learn how to build people, when you learn how to build them as they are, that's when you have that resource that changes your life. You want to think about something short-term, plant crops. You want to think something a little bit longer, then what is it? Then you plant trees. But if you want to change the direction of the course of your life, you got to learn how to build people.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And that's really what our business is all about, is about building people. Really, it's not just our business. It's really business in general. I mean, people are the wealth of the business. Yeah. The people are going to make everything go. So when you love on the people, then your business will definitely grow and grow and grow.
And if you think about it, that's like that in so many areas of life.
Oh, yeah. And I believe it's like that in direct sales too, that you got to be sure that you have the face-to-face time with the individual and not just put people in cookie cutter type of situations, because everybody has different circumstances and different goals, and what will work for one person may not necessarily work for another, similar to what you were talking about, the different kids and how you have to interact with them. Girl, exactly. You have been giving us some golden nuggets. It's been so good to talk to you, stuff that we can definitely do in our business as far as planning for the future, not just looking at the business today, but realizing where's the business going to be in the future. Do we have the systems in the place? Do we have the duplication practice in place that we can teach somebody that's going to be easy to do, that they would want to, they could show somebody else how to do? And then last but definitely not least, being able to look at the person as a person and not trying to use a cookie cutter approach with everybody. I mean, just be human. That's really what it comes down to. You got to be human. But before we end, I just want to ask you if you have any final thoughts for us to kind of close this up and really shed some light again on the business owner from startup to end.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. The thing is, I want to leave you with this. You know what? You're fabulous. You're precious. You are fiercely and fabulously made. Don't let anybody undervalue you. The thing that you most have to work on every day within your business is your mindset. Are you filled with self-confidence, or are you actually practicing self-sabotage? See, this is the thing. We get so caught up in watching what other people are doing. We're like, oh, wow, because we see this all the time in our feed. I started this part-time business and I'm making $92,000 a month. And you're like, man, look at her. She's so young. She's so this. Listen, you don't know the whole story behind that. That might be real. It might not be. But the thing is, before you worry about that and open yourself up to other possibilities, you have to ask yourself, where are you in your entrepreneur's journey? And that's mindset. Right. And I'm speaking from this, when I came into this business, I came into this business back in 2018 and then I went looking for a solution because I realized, here I am, I'm single, I'm not married, I don't have any kids. If anything happened to me, who would take care of me? I'm West Indian. It was always the family. I'm like, I looked at my nieces and nephews like, never mind, let me go borrow somebody else's. So I get some kids to take care of me. But this is the thing, is I went looking for a solution, my attorney days, there's always a solution. There's always a solution. And I talked to a friend and he introduced me to somebody, and I'm sitting there listening to this woman share to me about these principles that are geared totally towards the middle class. And I'm saying to myself, you know what? I am very well educated. I am intensely curious. How is it that I don't know these things? How is it that does my people, do my community, does my family know these things? And the answer was no. So I cut me into this business knowing that the value that I bring is immense, but there was so much that I had to get through. I didn't doubt my intelligence. I never have. I've been fortunate there. I didn't doubt my ability to meet people. I can talk to a rock and get a response. I didn't doubt that my ability to do presentations. I'm a former attorney. I can talk to a room of 5,000 and not blink an eye. But I doubted me. It's like, was I too old for this? I'm a child of the 60s. Is my color an issue? Is my sex an issue?
Right.
And the negative thought, I hadn't even realized how much I had started to incorporate all the negativity that is spewed at women and people of color on a daily basis. How it sucked into me. And I had to really start. And I remember a training we had where one of our leaders said, what do you think about? Like, what's stopping you? And I had to say, okay, I'm listening. And when I started to really think about it, I realized how much of these negative thoughts is what was allowing to constantly permeate in my brain. It doesn't matter how skilled you are. I'm skilled. It doesn't matter. You can have all of the graces and everything in the world. But if you don't believe it, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
What's your mindset? You got to think about your mindset like beating a piñata. Like, you get the piñata, it looks great. And you're like, I'm going to whack at it once and it's going to break open because I can whack good and nothing happens. You're going to whack at it again and it's going to break. Then you whack at it a third time. And then you say, oh, this isn't working. But see, what you don't realize is that every whack weakened it. Every whack started to undermine the very structure of it. And then when you hit it just at the right time, you get your candy. Your mindset is the same. You got to keep whacking at it and destroying that structure that has formed over decades of your life. Your mindset didn't just happen, because if you think back to the days when you were a child, everything was great, everything was exciting, everything was fabulous, and you want to learn everything. When did you lose that? When did you have a thirst to learn everything, and even the most mundane thing like sweeping the floor was interesting? You lost that. So you have to overcome that, because once you start to, I love it when one of our leaders, Ed Milet, says, he said, when you learn to keep the promises to yourself, you begin to build self-confidence. Because this is the thing. When you break that piñata, the next time a piñata comes in your life, you don't struggle with it because you already know, I got to whack it until it breaks. And then when the next piñata comes in, it's the same thing. But you notice that the first time you weren't sure, you were like pulling down the scarf to see if you could see it. You're trying to figure out how to, do it quick. And then when you realize you couldn't, and you did it and you got the candy, every time it comes up, you are sure and certain that you're going to defeat that piñata.
Exactly.
Nothing ever said, because you know you've done it once, you can do it again.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what comes up your way. You got this. The self-confidence, the mindset that you can accomplish your goal comes from every time you've kept your promise, you fought to the end, you beat your piñata, and you got your candy. Yes. So ladies, wherever you are in the course of your business, keep beating that piñata. Wherever you are, keep believing and attacking that negative mindset. What do you mean I'm not smart enough? Girl, shut up, Nelly. I'm brilliant. It's like, what do you mean that whatever it is, tell Nelly to shut up and get lost.
I know that's right.
Are fiercely and fabulously made. And you can do this. And every time you've overcome and taken that next step, you have learned. And I'll give you a prime example. All right. So a couple years ago, my girlfriend says to me, you want to do a triathlon? I said, okay. And she said, okay, sign up here. I okay. See, there was a little problem. So I didn't know what a triathlon was. I looked it up. And it's a bike, swim, and run. And I said, okay, I can bike, 10 miles. That's easy. I hadn't been on a bike in 15 years, but you know what? I know I can do it. And I said, well, I can't run, but I'm sure I can walk because I'm a New Yorker. I walk fast. I said, well, Clint, you have this little problem. You don't actually know how to swim. And this was an open water thing. So I couldn't stand on the bottom. I said, so you may have a problem because you're going to drown. So being a true New York, I said, there's a way. So I literally went onto YouTube and I taught myself how to swim. And I'm not joking. There are videos on how to teach yourself how to swim. And having learned all this, I actually went to Orchard Beach and threw myself in the water. I said, Clay, you need to actually put yourself in the water. And I started swimming and I was like, yes, I won't drown. And here's some woman said to me, wow, you swim so good. And I'm like, life is really relative. The day of the event, there was this massive storm out in the ocean. There were 8 and 10 foot swells. Wow. They were going to cancel the swim portion. And I was like, okay, what do you need to do to make sure that you get through this? I said, you need to improve your buoyancy because as long as you float, you won't drown.
Exactly.
I stuffed my fat butt into a wetsuit. It wasn't pretty, but I did it. And it came for me to get in the water. But the thing is, I only knew how to swim to one side. And every time I went to take a breath, I swallowed water. I said, okay, this is not working. I had already committed. There was no turning back. The only thing I knew how to do that was dog paddle. So I started dog paddling in the ocean and I would dog paddle. And because the water was so rough, they had lifeguards every 10 feet. So I paddled to one, to next. I made it out. That water was going to throw up because I swallowed so much. I finished the race and I had one goal, to finish and not be last. And I was dead in the middle of the plaque.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I went like this. I beat the water. You couldn't tell me anything because I beat the water. The next year I said I got to improve. So this time I went and I actually joined an adult swim class and I learned how to swim. I went from not knowing how to swim. You throw me in the ocean now and I can swim 2 miles and not blink an eye. Why? Because I've done it. I've swam in open water. I don't fear being in water anymore. So I don't worry about it. Even if I haven't done it, I know the techniques to give myself rest and roll and sight. I can do it. In January,
So you're able to do that with pretty much everything that you do at this point, I'm sure.
Everything, because once I trust that I can do it, I keep that promise, and the self-confidence is real.
Yes.
I'm telling you, ladies, it's your mindset is the 90% of your success. You give yourself that. You understand what you're capable of doing, and regardless of what happens, you can meet that challenge. You will always be able to beat the water.
Oh, I love it. And that is a great way to end. So I wanted to share Claudette's information here. If you guys want to work with her, you can click on this link. I have it down in this description. She would love to hear from you, even do a one-on-one with her and get to know her a little bit better. And as always, I wanted to tell you, if you know of anyone you would love for me to interview that you haven't seen me interview yet, by all means, shoot me a DM. My social media links are also down in the description. And as always, thanks for watching and bye for now.
Bye, everybody.